Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bedomy, and this is Halo: The Master Chief Collection. A collection of, of the main Halo games in one package that's ported to the PC. That is currently being ported to the PC by 343 Industries and Microsoft. Granted, you have to make an account with Microsoft in order to play this, but actually, I have nothing positive to say. This is Microsoft we're talking about. But then again, this is a very good game series, and I really want to play it. Well, I wanted to play it since I was young and since the game came out. Well, since the franchise started. And this is honestly a dream come true for me. I really didn't want to purchase a console because I usually don't have a lot of space in my house, so... And also because the consoles are expensive, and with Xboxes, well, the original Xbox's tendency to break down and destroy DVDs, I was off put from purchasing it, to be honest. But now in 2020, I'm really happy to see and report that the Halo for the PC is a phenomenal game. Granted, when it came out, it was utter trash because the sound mixing was terrible. The only way to actually get points for character customization was through playing the multiplayer or firefight, and the option to play Forge or use Theater was non-existent. But thankfully, as new releases, as new ports of the collection were released, the new content was also ported in. And thankfully, the audio options and customization options were fixed. When the game first came out, the dialogue audio especially, was on a lower frequency than the music, so you had something that you heard special effects and the music, but you heard disjointed voices when the characters were talking. So it was. Let me try to demonstrate. Listen to this music, and I'll try to. Something like that. If you didn't turn on the subtitles, you couldn't understand a word the other characters were saying. Thankfully, this was fixed, and now I can enjoy the game without subtitles aren't always present in the game, to be honest, but for the cutscenes, they are present, and I can understand what the other people are saying. So that's a plus. And also, if you're trying to play this offline, you can play this offline, but you won't have access to multiplayer, which is honestly a good thing, because I prefer to judge the games by their single player and judge their multiplayer separately. So for this video, we'll just take a look at the multiplayer. No, not the multiplayer, the single player, and look at the options for the whole collection. Just a fair warning, for this video, we will just take a look at Reach. Since Halo is a first-person shooter, the main mechanics didn't change much from game to game. There were some minor tweaks added to it, but the main formula of the game stays the same. But first things first, let's take a look at the options menu, and I have to admit, I really love what I see here. The mouse and keyboard control scheme in general is nicely optimized. You can turn off look conversion, flight inversion, everything can be customized to your own personal taste, and every option has its own slider or the number of, as you can see, or switches, let's call them for now, because I forgot the word for this. And thankfully, you can also rebind the keys, which is always good. And thankfully, most of these actions are not well. Most of these keys don't have multiple actions attached to them, so every action has its own separate key, and that's a big plus in my book. Granted, I am somewhat disappointed by the default control scheme because, well, I'm not going to say it's a bad control scheme, but it is somewhat unnatural. Let's call it that. For example, if I want to switch the weapon I'm using, I would probably have to hit the 1 or 2 numpad. Well, I would have to take a look at the numpad in order to see which number I'm trying to push in order to switch the weapon, and that's by default. Luckily, I can change it to the mouse wheel up or down, but once I try to change it, it will just acknowledge the first movement, and it won't follow the logic of if you just scroll a bit downwards, it will recognize it as the mouse wheel. It will just recognize the specific movement, which honestly isn't a bad thing, but it will take some getting used to. I'm also grateful that, well, this was a minor problem. No, not this one. Excuse me for a second. I'm also glad that the crouching mechanics were patched up. You see, when the game started, you couldn't simply run and then crouch. You had to stop and then crouch. For some reason, the game couldn't simply combine the two commands simultaneously, so you lost a second or two on the basic movement and got shot in the process, which was rather annoying, but it got fixed up. Also, this is a minor pet peeve again, but some things about this game sometimes really don't make sense in this one. Armor abilities are bound to shift, and one of these set abilities is sprinting, which is rather confusing, and I will demonstrate what I mean by that momentarily. Well, not momentarily, we will take a little bit more of a look at the options themselves and some other elements of the settings and career menu, and then we'll take a look at the gameplay itself. But keep this in mind when we start the gameplay portion. Anyway, back to the options themselves. Again, video and audio options get full marks. Well, get a 10 out of 10 from me personally, because everything has its own separate slider and can be adjusted to your own personal taste. The music, the resolution, the field of view, and the game sound, and the general sounds of the game itself. Do you want to listen to the classic sound effects, or do you want to listen to the anniversary, the remastered sound effects? It's a small touch, but it really adds up to. It really shows the amount of love and attention that not the developers. Bungie left Microsoft a long time ago, but it shows you how much 343 Industries. Well, I'm not gonna say they love and cherish the PC player base, but the community that worked on the Halo Online Elder Rita mod that got recruited into porting this really shows how much attention, love, and passion these guys put into. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at the gameplay, and then probably take a look at network and accessibility. These are not big game changers, but they are necessary. Well, they're not necessary. They're nice touches you might want to look up when you're trying to play a specific when you want to play something specific. Anyway, the gameplay options let you adjust the cursor position, which basically lets you choose where the crosshair will show up on the screen. You can see the invite notifications, the enemy names above them, above their heads, and also choose do you want to see the new skins you acquired. But the biggest thing you should pay attention to when it comes to the gameplay setting is the custom installation option, which lets you choose which game modes you want to install and from which installment of the Halo franchise. So as you can see, I installed every campaign from the currently released roster, and multiplayer from the major free multiplayer Halo games, such as Halo 2 Remaster, the Anniversary Edition, the Halo 3 multiplayer, and Reach. Halo 1's multiplayer is good, but it's not as fun as the latter interpretations of the game. That's just my personal opinion. Okay, as you can see, this is the network setting where you can actually create a custom VPN of sorts, which basically, lets you choose if you want to use the game's VPN system to hide your IP address, and then choose if you want to play over Xbox Live or fuck off, or do you want to play over a local area network. And finally, the accessibility lets you turn on the subtitles and also choose the language of the text you're listening to, and the language of the game you're going to listen. And you can also turn on voice, text-to-speech options. And that's about it when it comes to the settings menu, which is really a good site for me personally. It shows how much people worked, how much love and attention, and how passionate the community is for this game. Now this isn't anything gameplay changing, but customization options are, they are rather, I'm not gonna say limited, but they are a nice touch, honestly. Somewhat limited in my opinion, but then again, customization is bound to your account's level. So the higher the rank, the more gear you acquire. So as you can see, at the moment I managed to acquire some pretty decent gear for my helmet and reach armor. So let's check the. Yes, I like this helmet, so I'm keeping this one. So as you can see, I can customize my Reach Spartan 3 appearance for the story mode as well as the multiplayer, which is a very nice touch on Bungie's part. But then again, Reach was technically their last Halo game, so they went out with a bang, and it really shows how much they care about the franchise and their community. They let you create your custom character for the story, and also let you choose your gender, and they also let you choose your type of an elite elite, basically the alien soldiers that you will be fighting in the story, but you can also play as them in Halo's, in the Reaches, and also Halo 3's multiplayer modes. For now, we'll just leave them as they are, and take a look at the season. Well, it's not a season pass, but more of a. It's not a. Well, yeah, it's a treasure map of sorts. You can switch up between the seasons that were between multiple seasons in order to unlock new customization options once you manage to acquire the points necessary to unlock it, unlock the desired gear. Unfortunately, you're locked up to a specific tier until you unlock everything. So you can't just jump around and find specific items you want. You have to unlock every tier in order to get to the one to the one item you want, which is rather ludicrous. But when compared to the early release of the game, where you were actually bound to unlocking the next item, where you were bound to unlock items one by one without the freedom of choice, you just had to play and wait until the next item is unlocked. This is actually honestly a good change. And thankfully, the game did patch in a challenge hub, which gives you challenges, weekly challenges as well as seasonal challenges that will reward you with points and other cosmetic items for not only the story mode but also the multiplayer. Well, you only have story mode and multiplayer. I doubt. Yeah, Firefight is also a multiplayer, even though it's considered a co-op game. Anyway, compared to what the game started with, this is a welcome addition. I would be happier if I could just level up my account by playing the single player and give the multiplayer up temporarily and pay attention to the multiplayer on occasion, because I don't have many friends that play Halo. I don't have many friends that play Halo near me, so I'm bound to play with clanmates, and considering we're in different time zones, that tends to be the problem. Anyway, that's the majority. I think I can show you for now. I would show you the Forge, but I doubt I can access it without online connection. So if I get the chance, I'll try to make a video about the Forge itself, which is honestly a very integral part of the Halo franchise in itself. But I don't know how to use it in general, so I'll have to study up a bit. But anyway, let's not waste too much time and take a look at Halo Reach. And as I already said, the majority of these sequels are more or less are the same gameplay wise, but every game has a different, somewhat different attachments to them. Let's say it like that. Let's take a look at let's find an interesting mission. Excuse me, nope, we're not doing this one. Yeah, well, excuse me, I really want to choose something good. Think of the Spirit. Yeah, this is a good one. So yes, this is a. No, let's use this on normal. As I was saying, this game is a challenging one. I have to be honest. And since I already passed the campaign on, I think I already passed it on Legendary. Anyway, this game is a hard one. So you can replay missions wherever you like, and also choose the difficulty on which to play them. You can also add some different mutators that will affect your endgame score, but does it affect your level rating? I doubt it. It's just there for bragging rights. You can also play it cooperatively with a friend online, or split screen if you have a friend over and you both have controllers. But for now, I think we can just go with some. Why not? Let's add some mutators just for the hell of it. Okay, this should be enough. This is just for demonstrational purposes, so if I die often, my apologies, but yes, I know I'll have to restart the mission I was playing again. As you can see, once I choose a mission, it will automatically delete my current progress on whichever mission I was playing beforehand, and I'll have to redo the mission. Thankfully, if you're just playing the story, actually, I'm just gonna shut up and let you enjoy the cutscene.
That spire was indeed a teleporter linked to a cloaked Covenant supercarrier, a grave threat. Thankfully, help is imminent. 60% of the UNSC fleet is en route to Reach from existing deployments. The first battle group should arrive within 48 hours.
48 hours? That's imminent? Uh-oh. Who's your money on this time?
Her.
You always pick her.
She's always had him dialed in.
That thing's crushing us and we're waiting for backup. They'll be backing up a graveyard.
All our nukes are either out system or went down with the ships that carried them. You're preaching to the converted.
How converted?
I know that look, Cat.
You can say no.
No.
Right, so as you saw, the lighting and the texture detail are top, well, for the cutscenes are very top-notch, as well as the voice acting and the music. And considering this was a Xbox 360 game, and this is a port of it, and it still holds up.
Copy that, Commander.
Move up the beach, Noble.
As I was saying, the fact that graphically this game still holds up is impressive on its own. I mean, just look at the detail of this gun and the rocks. Granted, the gun and the armor piece of my arm are more detailed than the rocks and the glass themselves, but the world and the game around you is really immersive. The sound designs, the lighting effects, ouch. Okay, this might, don't worry about the frame rate. This is probably due to the fact that I'm recording and it's probably taking a bit out of the processing power. Yeah, it's probably because of the processing power. The game is working fine on my PC, as well as, well, I only play it on my PC because I have Windows 10 on it, and it won't work on Windows 7, even though I had a PC that, oh shit, yeah, my apologies. As I was saying, the frame rate doesn't drop when you're playing on your own. If you're recording or streaming, it might affect the gameplay. It might affect the frame rate somewhat, but it shouldn't be something that you... Oh no. Oops. Okay, this is embarrassing. But as I was saying, if you're playing this on your own, it shouldn't affect the frame rate. There shouldn't be any frame rate issues or screen tearing or anything of the sort. I would recommend that when you're playing if you're playing on recording or streaming this, that you consider turning down the graphical effects to medium or lower the amount of details in the game, because it will really, damn it, cat. Because it will improve performance for you and your audience. Anyway, as I was saying, the general immersion of the world around you is really nice. The sound effects, the lighting, the amount of detail in the world around you, they really drag you in and make the game desirable to be played and finished. Which is certainly says more than, which really helps out when you're participating in major battles, because holy, I'm not gonna swear in front of you all, but the lack of AI intelligence is sometimes apparent, or annoying in most cases, because here's the thing. As you already saw with Kat, she just stood there while I was being shot, and when I tried to move, she wouldn't budge, so I got killed. And okay, I know this is not the accurate representation of the situation, but trust me, there are times when you will end up in fights and in very big fights that will get you killed because your AI teammates stood right in front of the door, or made sure that you cannot progress due to, or just wouldn't help you. They simply stood somewhere in the way and got you killed. Excuse me. Anyway, as I was saying, the AI is somewhat competent when you're participating in scripted events, but in general battles when you're bound to just participate in a battle that's not scripted and you have to rely on teammates, just kill them if you can. Because one, they'll get in the way and get you killed, and two, you'll probably get better weapons out of it, or stay up on ammunition if you lack ammo for your major guns. Thankfully, most of the enemies can be killed with a well-placed headshot, and also your teammates that cannot be killed because of the story will either run towards you when they get hit by a sticky grenade, or simply stand in place and toughen it out. So if you're planning on using them as portable meat shields, forget it. You'll be disappointed very, very quickly. And finally, we can address the elephant in the room, which is the armor abilities. As you can see, the ability to sprint is considered a special ability of your armor, which is rather confusing when we consider the fact that most human beings are capable of running. And for some reason, the two AI partners are simply standing there like lemons. Would you mind joining us, Commander? Thank you.
Keep your head to fight.
Okay, Sam, this will probably result in your death if you don't hand over the sniper rifle. Thank you. This is something I'm actually grateful for when it comes to the mechanics. You can switch out weapons with your allies if you find something that you like. And when it comes to the weapon variety in the game in general, I am rather impressed. The human arsenal might not be as impactful as the Covenant arsenal, but what they lack in, well, devastation, they do make up for with well, they're not. I'm not gonna say that the human weapons are inferior to the alien ones. The shotgun and the sniper rifle are probably one of the most devastating weapons in the whole franchise as a whole. You know, I said in the whole franchise already, so as a whole, it's probably a very, very idiotic thing to say, but hopefully you understand what I mean. Oh, this is beautiful, and we're gonna drive this soon.
Get to the saber.
Anyway,
What about you and Kat?
every weapon has its own strengths and weaknesses. For example, the sniper rifle is powerful at killing
What's the word from command, Lieutenant?
shielded and heavier heavily defended enemies, and sometimes allows you to penetrate raid armor or the armor or armored vehicles.
Launch team. Sabers prepped.
While
ready for
the
launch.
plasma weapons are more effective against dealing with enemies that have stronger shields. They'll bring them down quickly, and you can finish them off rather easily once you shoot them with plasma. The lead bullets will give you the same results, but they're not as effective as green and blue orbs. If you know where to shoot your enemy, then you're probably safe. But as the enemies actively move and try to kill you, that's not an easy task to perform.
Scouts disengaged. Commencing launch in T-minus 5, 4, 3,
I really...
2.
And while we wait for the launch, let's give praise for the amount of the detail on the characters and their armors, as well as the world itself. It's all well detailed. And considering the hardware limitations at the time, well, let's be honest, the Xbox 360 wasn't a slouch when it came to graphical presentation, but honestly, when Reach came out, this blew my mind. Honestly, this was probably one of the better looking games when it came out. And the fact that this graphical presentation and audio presentation still speaks volumes of talent and effort that Bungie put into this game. For now, we'll just skip. We'll skip again some of
Global
the
actual to Saber Bravo 029er. Over.
Copy actual.
some of the story cutscenes, but
Operation Uppercut. I'll be your control from here on out.
Understood, Colonel.
Noble 6, these Sabers have been customized
as you can see,
for orbital defense.
despite the
You may
cutscenes,
need
there
to
is
get reacquainted.
always a
Rendezvous at
story
Anchor
going
9
on.
with
There's always a
Frigate
story
Savannah and
going
the other
around you.
Sabers as soon as you're ready.
So you will hear people talking, discussing strategies, and simply interacting with each other in order to survive and win the war. Thankfully, the voice acting really carries these segments, as well as the audio effects that support them. Sorry, but this is probably one of my favorite missions. This is probably one of my favorite missions. Well, who am I kidding? This is one of my favorite missions. We start off with a D-Day styled assault on a surrounded fort, and then we get launched into space for a dogfight. And this is just beautiful. The map I'm on is really nicely painted. Mostly the amount of debris that's present here is
Savannah actual to Saber
is
teams.
really
Be advised, we have bogies inbound. Anchor 9 to all
is really
UNSC ships stationed defenses
something to write home about, and
requesting
really
combat support until we can bring them back online.
immerses you into the situation you're in. It shows you how bad the situation is. I mean, just look at this. Most of these ships could obliterate Earth, for example, if something bad happened. If they came to blows. If they decided to attack Earth. Oh! And at the moment we have to defend them from the oncoming onslaught of enemy fighters. As you can see, the controls are very responsive on us. Well, if you could see my arm moving and steering my character in real life, you would believe me, this is a very responsive control scheme. It's not lagging, it's responsive, and it really lets you experience what it's like to be a Spartan or an elite pilot. and also the range of weaponry you have presented to you is rather nice. From alien weaponry to human weaponry, you have a big choice of weapons and gear you can use. Granted, I wish that some of the set gear wasn't limited to just grenades and some, well, not creative but fun power-ups. I really do feel like an elite soldier that got genetically modified in order to fight alien threats and be the ultimate, the creme de la creme when it comes to humanity. So let's try to I'm sorry, but I'm having too much fun with this, so with the flying segments, but there are some things that you should be aware of when you're playing Halo. Like in Call of Duty and other modern military shooters, where the premise is mostly the general premise is that one soldier is all that's enough, one special soldier is what every army needs in order to survive or claim victory, is usually
Saber teams, use your guns to take down their
focused on
shields, then hit them with your missiles.
basically despite the fact that most of the military shooters claim that they are military shooters, they're mostly hero shooters. They focus too much on overpowering the player, and that's usually counterproductive when it comes to such games. If I'm a soldier, I'm not omnipotent. I am just someone who is trained to respond and survive in specific situations. For example, you wouldn't think an infantry soldier would be capable of, well, flying, have a dogfight in space with alien invaders. Now, would you? You wouldn't let him. This is too much of a.
Be advised, we show a large attack force inbound.
These planes, well, these jets are way too expensive and
Is there any place
important to the military, so you cannot just give them to anyone to pilot, especially if someone isn't trained. But granted, the story does give you the excuse that you were trained pilot, so you know how to handle these jets in a dogfight, and you already are established. You were established from the get-go as a capable soldier who survived multiple deadly situations. But that's beside the point. As I was saying, most of the game is focused on showing that you're proving that you're well, not just a multi-talented soldier, but the only soldier that should be focused on by the enemy. So as you can see, I am participating in a battle, and the majority of the enemy fighters are focusing on me. Well, now in this case, because this is a lower difficulty, but in higher difficulties, you'll get killed in a matter of seconds, which is rather annoying if you're playing with specific mutators, or if you're trying to make a let's play, or going for, I don't know, achievements. Well, this is actually in terms of achievements, it might be beneficial if you can replay a certain section multiple times by simply killing yourself. But it is somewhat frustrating when you have to repeat the same segments of the mission over and over because an enemy got a lucky shot, or because you weren't paying attention and then got killed. Mind you, I don't mean that punishing the player's negligence is a bad thing, but
Anchor 9 to all
failing
UNSC
multiple
fighters.
multiple times due to
Straight for our defensive
unforeseen
batteries.
circumstances such as
Saber team, we're marking
terrible
high-value
AI
gunboat
partners
targets
or the fact that I got too close and destroyed myself. That's my own stupidity that got me killed. But I hope you can understand what I mean by that. If
Anchor 9 to all UNSC
the majority,
ships, station defenses are
when you're
back
playing
online.
harder difficulties,
Clear the
you
lane. Light 'em
will
up.
be killed a lot. So you will have to change your approach to playing. Because I'm playing this on lower difficulty, I can actually breeze through it like Doom Guy or Duke Nukem, for example. Most of their games are about making you feel like an absolute powerhouse when it comes to shooting. Well, not just shooting, but the powerhouse of humanity that's the only you're the only creature that can destroy the aliens invading. But this is not it. This is a military shooter. Let's be honest. You're a part of a military organization, and while it is true that you are very capable and one of the better equipped individuals that can handle the situation you're in, it's rather annoying when you're focus fired by most of your enemies just because you show a pixel of yourself out of cover in order to shoot someone else. Thankfully, these moments are few and far between, but I really wish that the game fixed this issue of making you the only viable target to the enemy AI when you're playing this on higher difficulty.
Anchor 9 to Saber teams. Phantoms are inbound on Vector 7, Mark 49.
A good challenge. You see, a good challenge in a game is the one when you're not only dealing with stronger opponents, but opponents that can actually adapt to your, well, not just adapt, but present you with some...
Saber teams, we're marking high-value gunboat targets now.
As I was saying, my apology. Damn it! Okay, this happens when I try... There are pilots and talk about situations you're in. And also notice the fact that once I got killed, this segment has a the checkpoint system in this game is a weird one. And if you remember, I did basically the same thing the first time, and then had to fight the Banshees again. But now I managed to crash myself into enemy ship, and it simply restarted me, and I simply had to restart the fight from
damage control teams at the ready.
The gunboats
Phantom torpedoes away.
from this segment where the enemy showed up.
Weapons hot.
Anyway, we're talking about the game's challenge. A good challenging game will provide you with not only a tougher opponent, but also a situation where you have to memorize not only your opponent's movesets, but also consider how you handle your resources, how you run away, how you fight, how you actually use the resources you have presented towards you, to you. Not, I mean, you can. The enemies are also an asset that's trying to kill you, but let's pause this for a second because I'll just fumble around a bit. The thing about challenges is that not only are you restricted when it comes to your when you get restricted by the options you're presented with. A tougher game will present you with more challenging opponents. For example, elites. For example, you'll deal with tougher enemies, or you'll have to deal with stronger weaponry, or the game will simply add some conditions to how you. Well, well, it's some conditions in order to win a fight. So, for example, if this was a higher difficulty mission, I'd probably consider the idea that I have to destroy more carriers, or I have to participate in a longer dogfight, or just give me the same dogfight but allow the enemies to use more movements, for example. That would be challenging. So, for example, as an example, just saying, as you can see, I can maneuver, I can barrel roll, I can loop-to-loop, I'm not just bound to acceleration and
I'm out here 6.
and slowing down. I am actually required to change up my movesets and use them in order to survive.
Systems nominal. Echo 2, good to go. Echo 3.
For example,
Echo 4, all systems online.
I managed to destroy the ships.
We are currently jamming the Corvette's comms. Hit it hard while it can't call for help.
Agreed. Saber teams.
For example, this is the second example. If I'm destroying the ship's engines, or exhaust ports in this case,
Good thinking, Savannah.
it should stop
That'll
the...
make boarding her a whole lot easier. Noble 6, and marking targets. Take out the Corvette's main engines.
As you can see, this is a story-based objective, and I already finished it before it even started. It will be interesting to actually get the ability to damage the ship as it goes, as the story progresses. So, for example, if I'm doing a story mission, if the story mission was set to legendary difficulty, I would probably
Don't let any of them get away,
get more...
Kill them before they bug out and warn that super carrier what we're up to.
I should get more objectives to destroy around the ship, not just the ship's engines and defense, and maybe these defenses. Oh, no. As you can see, I am currently trying to take out the defenses of the ship in order to help my ship to destroy the ship in question, and also to get rid of the Covenant troops trying to kill me. No. Oh, this is terrifying. Okay, down goes the Seraph. Minus the Banshee, and I think you get what I'm trying to say. Harder difficulty should not warrant greater number of enemies, and also tougher enemies. It should probably generate more, the same squads of enemies, but improve their ranking. Make them don't make them an average grunt. Make them average grunts and elites. Make them elites. Make the elites change the classes of the elites, and maybe and improve the grunt's armor, so that you still have to fight the same squad of enemies, but they have different tactics, and that provides the challenge. In my case, the good game not only makes you feel good, it forces you to become good. And Halo is very good at making you feel like a badass on most major occasions. But then comes some situations where you just have to adapt yourself and really become what the people are expecting from you. For example, this is when the flight mission actually started. As you saw, we only had to deal with a couple of Banshees and maybe and then the Seraphs and the Banshees were introduced separately, so we could actually learn how they move, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and then they gave them to us in combinations. So, as you can see, I focused primarily on taking out the Seraphs, and now I just have to deal with the Banshees, which makes my mission a lot easier, because one, I don't have to deal with tougher opponents, and I have to consider my targets carefully. Oh boy, no, come on. Turn. Okay, as you can see, I really need to pay attention when I'm fighting someone, and I also have to consider which weapons to use.
Analyze all available data on that Corvette. Find a way inside.
Oh, no.
Scans indicate a structural weakness surrounding a platform on top of
So
the
as you can
vessel.
see, this is, well,
Noble 6.
this is not a
Sat
flight
down
simulator.
immediately
It's
on that Corvette's topside landing
it is a
pad.
military. It is a military shooter for all intents and purposes. You're bound to 2 weapons. You have only 2 weapons at any given moment. You have regenerating health. Let's be honest. It's not present in this game, but in Halo 2 and 3,
6,
and
the Savannah's
if
countermeasures
I
won't
recall
work forever.
correctly,
Find a
Halo
way
4,
inside
it
and permanently
was
disable that cruiser's
once you depleted the
communications.
shield, you
As soon as
could
we're
actually
sure
take a
the
couple of
Corvette
hits
can't squawk, we'll initiate
from the
uppercut
enemies, but
phase
then you
2.
got killed again. So you had to wait until your shields regenerated. So I'm going to call this regenerative health. You could take some punishment, but you couldn't just stand there and take everything the enemy threw at you. You really had to consider where to hide and what to do. So in this case, if this was a higher difficulty mission, I would probably get gunned down by the enemy because they would become very pinpoint on the moment's notice. But thankfully, I can switch up my armor abilities and I can utilize them and I can either confuse or outrun my opponent's pursuit. And also you have squad mates in the game, but you cannot issue orders to them or ask them to do anything useful. So once you end up with squad mates, you'll either regret knowing them or kill them yourself. As you can see, this guy simply he saw the elite coming towards me, and instead of simply either shooting or doing something that would prevent the enemy from killing me, he simply stood there, which is rather annoying. Not to mention stupid, because one, armies, soldiers especially, soldiers work on the fact that soldiers survive due to their friends and squad mates, but these guys are too inept at protecting their own teammates. So if you can, I recommend that you play Halo with friends on co-op. The story mode can be finished with friends in co-op mode. So if you're capable, I would recommend that you try and get a friend to play with. But for now, let's take a look at the alien weaponry for a second and enjoy a bit of what they can do. Once you get hit, damn it! Once you get hit by an enemy weapon, you will get. If you zoom in to snipe someone, be careful of where your enemies are. Oh! Okay, that was dangerous. But you saw what I meant. If you're just you can't stand still in this game. You have to move, and you have to consider enemy positioning. Oh, and also consider your enemy's suicidal grunts if you have to deal with them. So every enemy in the game has its own, I'm not going to say tactics, but mechanics when it comes to fighting. For example, the grunts are considered the equivalent of the Spartans, basically. So if you position yourself carefully, so you have to adapt to their playstyle, while the grunts will rely on numbers primarily and suicide tactics in order to survive. As you can see, I can deal with them by simply getting closer to them and scaring them off into running away and then finishing them off. But in case of the elites, I have to use cover and use snipers and other.
Go for those shield controls. I need in.
And other items in your utility belt, such as grenades and armor power-ups. Granted, I wish that sprint ability was not an armor ability. It was just a general mechanic that you could use for a limited time again, but that you could combine with your hologram, for example. If I were to say send a hologram there and then start sprinting towards the other direction, I would open up the enemy flank and finish them off rather quickly. But in this case, I'm not allowed to do that. But those are minor gripes. As for the gameplay mechanics themselves, the shooting is fun and responsive. The excuse me. The weapon limit is minor. It is a major annoyance if you're an old-time shooter fan like myself. The fact that you're limited to 2 weapons isn't a tactical. I'm not gonna say choice. It's silly.
Noble 6, get
It's
that
not a
Corvette moving
tactical.
toward the super carrier.
Let me try this again. It's just because I'm limited to 2 weapons, it doesn't grant me the tactical. It doesn't make this game. Doesn't make it a tactical game. It's just a limit. It is a interesting limit, but in shooters such as Doom and Duke Nukem, you had multiple weapons to choose from, and you had to consider where to use them. For example, if you had a rocket launcher, you would probably save it for heavily armored enemies, or maybe clustered up enemies that were a problem. As you can see, I'm technically. This is a tactical decision. I decided to use the sticky grenades in order to lower the elite shields and then finish them off with a sniper, or let my teammates finish them off. Or if I was allowed to do so, I would simply spare out the squad mates and tell them to take every enemy from a specific angle. But as it is, I'm not allowed to do it. I'm just stuck here doing specific. I'm just stuck here. Oh. Okay, that was terrifying. I'm simply babysitting these guys, and there isn't any punishment for losing my soldiers.
Frigate's gone, 6.
Well, there is the punishment of making the situation I'm in usually.
Noble, you're in deep with no cover.
It puts me in more danger when I. Sorry. What I'm trying to say is, yes, the fact that I'm given a squad to babysit makes my fights easier, and losing them is not a good option. But in this case, I would prefer to be given the ability to actually just command my squad mates into moving to specific locations and then set up an ambush for my enemies. As it is now, I'm just stuck here leading the enemy charge. Not the enemy charge, the heroic charge against the Covenant troops. Damn it! Oh god! Oh no! Where was I? Oh great! I got a medal. Anyway, as you can see, if I could just order my squad mates to, I don't know, surround or suppress the heavily armored and heavily armed elite, I could probably survive the situation, much easier. As it is now, I'll probably get killed by I don't know, an enemy with a luck, who just happens to be a luck to a stray bullet, basically. I'll
put that Corvette on a refueling track to the supercarrier.
Yes, sir, I'm working on it.
Uppercut initiated.
As I was saying, I wish I could actually order my soldiers to do something.
Just like that. Keep it up, dog.
If I had some, I'm just saying, if there are mods that allow this, I'll probably try to install them and use the squad mechanics to and use the game to its fullest potential. But as it is now, it's rather sad, because the game has potential to be a very not only entertaining tactical shooter, but a very good squad-based tactical shooter. And that sounds redundant when I already said tactical shooter, but think of it as Brothers in Arms franchise games. You had a squad of soldiers. You had to command them through the missions, and you actually formed some bonds as the story progressed. You had and actually this is one of the main. Halo Reach's story is not about squads. It's not about a squad of noble team. It's about the fall of Reach itself. And if you're interested in learning more about it, I would recommend that you take a look at the Actman videos and what makes Halo Reach so awesome. Because the man is more or less correct. The small details about your squad mates are told to you through visual presentation or visual storytelling. They're not told to you, they're shown. And you actually just have to pay attention and learn about it. It's not simply... You're not put in front of a screen and told, this guy is your best friend. You have to consider. You have to pay attention to the story itself. And this is something I actually really like about Halo. It is a general, rather, I'm not gonna say generic, but it is a story about a guy in a suit fighting off a horde of monstrous creatures that are planning to destroy Earth. It's tried and tested formula, sure, but and it has some unique elements to it, such as the weaponry you can use and the enemies you have to fight. Yes, well, I'm actually running out of things to say, but every enemy has its own unique way of fighting, movement, and they have specific weaponry they can use against you. But this is mostly offset by generally weak AI teammates that cannot, for the love of them, help you in a fight. For example, most of these guys are just standing around and doing nothing. I'm the only one that's actually trying to fight here, which is rather frustrating when you're trying to survive in a hostile territory surrounded by a group of enemy soldiers. You'll get killed quickly, and then you'll have to redo the segment over and over. And as I already said, that's not something that most players enjoy or look for in a game. If this, I mean, yes, it's a shooter. It's you have, even if at the very least, I wish there was a possibility for a manual save. As it is, I am bound to checkpoints, and they tend to be, I'm not gonna say unresponsive, but confusing, as you already saw in the dogfight. I got killed in one segment and got returned to the segment before that, and that was while we were fighting carriers. I got killed once and got returned to the segment where I had to fight banshees and seraph. But after I got killed again, I got turned. The game just sent me back to the fight with the carriers. So yeah, it's rather confusing sometimes when it comes to. The game is somewhat confusing when it comes to checkpoints. And also grenade spamming enemies. Well, to be fair, I did put the fact I did put a mutator that allows the enemy to throw more grenades. So this is my own doing. Well, not my own doing, but my own choice. And this makes the game challenging. I'll give that. But it gets annoying when you get close to finishing something and then get killed. And also, these guys only help you every once in a while. But as the situation goes, you are usually on your own. So it's better off to just kill off your AI teammates and get some extra ammunition, and simply toughen up and simply think your way through the fights, or find a mod that allows you to command your squad mates. Anyway, as you can see, this was Halo Reach, and I hope I provided some decent information that will help you decide if you want to purchase the game or not. The gameplay itself is fun, but once you're put in a squad or in a situation where you had to depend on squad mates, you will have a rather hard time. Gameplay on itself is a good one. I would prefer if I could actually get more weapons to use and experiment with simultaneously, not simply steal them from the dead enemies. I would like to have something similar to maybe Mass Effect, where you have a four weapon limits. You have you have to have a pistol, shotgun, or an assault rifle, a precision rifle such as the battle rifle or the sniper, and finally you can also choose to take, I don't know, not a grenade, but actually no, Mass Effect had assault rifle, sniper, shotgun, and pistol combo, so you had to choose between 4 different weapons. That would actually open bigger possibilities for you. For one, do you want to deal some damage from a medium distance with a assault rifle and close the distance, and then switch to a shotgun and finish off your enemies up close and personal? Or do you want to create some distance and then finish your enemies with a sniper rifle? It just gives you more possibilities to experiment. Anyway, that's about it. I have everything I have to say for the game. I don't think I forgot anything. Grenades are also limited, but to be fair, you do carry 2 different grenade types. So 4 grenades, not a bad deal. Anyway, as you saw, you can drive vehicles, you can fight on foot, but be warned, your health the vehicles you drive share the same health pool as your character, so you will take the same amount of damage on foot or on vehicle. So the only difference is the vehicle is more powerful and it moves faster, so you will have to stay on the move and you can't simply tank the damage. Anyway, that's about everything I got to say at the moment. Once I finish Halo 1, I will make a video about that. Or actually no, I think I'll make a video about Firefighter multiplayer. Anyway, that's a video for another day. My name has been Bedomy. I hope you enjoyed the video, and good night.